Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Few with You. Let the controversy begin. I've been putting this video off because I just didn't want to have to deal with the ramifications of giving my opinion regarding what platform to use, because I know everyone's got their own rhythm and rhyme, and here's mine. This is for people that are starting out from scratch, or getting inside, trying to build a website for their business and or idea, and they don't know what to do, and there's all these options, and you hear about these free web builders or these easy web builders and blah blah blah, and it's confusing, and everything has these like free, you see free all over the place, free, and it's never, nothing's ever free. That's never changed. So check this out. I've only chosen Wix, SquareSpace, Shopify, and we're going to go into a little bit of WordPress. Yes, there's a lot more out there in the market. These are just the most frequent that I see in the industry, and after doing this for close to 2 decades, not that these have been around for almost 2 decades, but I've seen other ones come and go. These have had a niche in the market for quite some time. Their supports are great, and each of them have a unique way of servicing a web interface. So here's my recommendations for each one. If you are a business and you're starting from scratch and you really don't know what your long term is yet, meaning you're starting maybe a handyman service or something that's going to be very little investment in the beginning, and you don't want to, a website isn't necessarily going to be your main bread and butter. You just want a good face to the name online and a good brand, and you want to, Wix is a great platform for that. Very easy to use, but the silver lining to all of these platforms, excluding WordPress, as you've heard me say this time and time again, you do not own it. You do not own these sites. You will always pay a leasing and or a rental fee, how I like to call them. And that means that this time next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, whether their rankings, the actual functionality, and the platform itself are never yours. So if it is long-term, don't ever use any of these, and I can always go more in depth in that, and actually that I'm willing to get into some online banter about and expressing why I wouldn't use them for long-term, but that's not the point of this video today. Today's just what type of plan per platform would be probably the best for depending on what you're looking for. So with Wix, and this is, once again, this is where the controversy is going to begin. I would never, ever, ever go with a VIP, an unlimited, an account on Wix. Sorry, love you guys, Wix, but I don't think anyone, and I would never use them for any e-commerce purposes, etc. I would use them for a simple combo, personal use, has everything that you're going to need. Once again, it's a really fluid builder. I do a lot of sites in Wix for people that don't have the appropriate budget and or it's not long-term, and they don't necessarily need the functionality in databases, etc. And once again, the name of the game is affordable. It's very affordable to supply this type of service to a consumer or a client, because it's not going to be that cumbersome to build. And you can also do a lot of stuff from scratch as well. You don't have to use their pre-existing themes. You can actually use a white canvas and mock it up into something that exactly the client wants, which the clients love. And it's very easy to train people on how to use it, whether you are web savvy or not. So this is a great platform. Once again, Wix is going to be combo. Stick with the combo. Another rule of thumb: do not buy your domains from a third-party company like this. I'm sorry. Once again, these are all things that are going to be completely probably agreed and or disagreed by a lot of people. But why? Well, they're going to charge you more than what the average price is on a normal registrar. So name.com is my go-to. I've been using them for years. It is, don't take my word for it. Put a URL in here that you're thinking about buying. 99% of the time, it's going to be less expensive on here than it would be buying it on a platform, because what happens is you buy the domain from them. They pay, you think $14, $15 is normal, when usually it's $5 to $10 yearly per URL. And then what happens is, when and if you don't use this platform, it's kind of a pain in the rear end to get that URL off of their platform to another registrar. It's possible. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's just a pain in the butt, and I do it all the time. And then the clients get frustrated because the domain goes down. We can't even get it coming soon. It's a whole nother rigmarole. Here's the point: don't do it. Once again, questions and concerns about it, holler at me and I'll explain to you why. Don't take them up on the free domain. Say no thanks when that screen appears, and just go ahead and tie your domain from where you purchased it. And that's possible as well by changing the DNS name record. So that's a whole nother issue, but just don't do it. So once again, combo for Wix, fantastic. Utilize it. Don't do these two. They're unnecessary. Once you start getting into these two, if you need this stuff, you probably shouldn't be going to Wix. Sorry, period. You don't need these ad vouchers and all this other jazz, and I don't even know what half this stuff is. I don't even look at it. Just know that if you see this stuff and it appeals to you, then you should probably pump the brakes and look into another platform that's actually going to be yours, so you're not like hooking up a car that you don't own. You're like leasing it. Does it make sense? So moving on. SquareSpace, absolutely fantastic. I get a lot of this. I have a lot of people that are on it. I have a lot of clients that come to me that are on it. I have a lot of people that I know, service people using SquareSpace. Fantastic platform. Once again, not yours. You always would be leasing it and or renting it. And with all of these across the board, these platforms always go up in price. They don't go down. I don't care what they are, what platform it is, or what actual provider they are. Wix, for instance, has not gone cheaper. None of these have gone cheaper. So this time, 5 years from now, this time 2 years from now, there's all these acquisitions. They're always being absorbed, or there's like these migrations that are happening, and other companies are buying them. The terms and conditions will change, and the pricing will always go up, guaranteed. And what that means is you need to understand that you're always going to need to fit that into your business model. This is your brick and mortar cost of having a website. This is not a return on investment. This is not marketing. This is not something that you're going to be able to say, oh, well, it costs me $300 and some odd a year for my hosting, but that's okay because that's an ROI. No, it's not. You're just paying that to have the site. And I've covered this in other videos. The average website should only cost, when you own it, should only be $50 to $100-ish a year, depending on the bandwidth you need and the back admin aspect. But that's a good rough estimate. And the longer you purchase in a hosting platform, the less expensive it comes. So my point is, know that with the SquareSpace, I would always recommend, once again, personal. Keep it simple. Use this site for a short-term goal maybe, or something that's going to look good, smell good, so to speak, online, easy to use for you, and or if you're a developer, easy for you to use. The clients are happy because it looks really cool. They've got the responsive nature to them. Just overall, lack of better words, it's a dope platform. But once again, if you start seeing this other stuff that you think that you're going to need, for instance, don't ever get enticed by this AdWords. I can't stand when these companies do that. This AdWords or coupons and blah blah blah. It's just ridiculous. That stuff is irrelevant. It's good to have, but it's not something that should be a deciding factor when starting a website. If you start to see things on here though that you're gonna need, like e-commerce, I'm gonna do e-commerce. Once again, I wouldn't build an e-commerce on a SquareSpace and or a Wix, and I'll go to bat and explain to you why in further conversations. But I can explain to you that it's just not your most optimal decision. That's just how I feel. I've seen horror stories with these sites that people are on these, they're not utilizing the platform for what they really need. So this is going to bleed into Shopify. If you are starting a site that is e-commerce driven, its majority of the site is going to be to sell or supply a product online, whether digital, whether physical, I don't care. Shopify is great, little expensive, but it's super fluid, easy to build. The merchant activity is very fluid. You can tie it to pretty much almost merchant that's out there in today's market. Your PayPals, your Squares, Authorize.net. It's a very easy process to connect to, and the front end is very aesthetically pleasing as well. Shopify works in two ways. You have free themes that come with a purchased account, so I guess they're not necessarily free, but they come with the account that you buy, and you're going to get like an arsenal of themes that you can choose from and then customize from there. And or you can purchase a theme that's from a third-party developer that sells these themes. It's pretty cool. They're usually $50 to $100 depending on the complexity and the functionality. You buy it, it's yours, and then you can use that theme on the site, which is even really more neat when it comes to the aesthetics, etc. But in this case, same thing with Shopify. This is all going to come down to how many products you have and staff accounts and things of that nature. Like how many people do you want to have that's going to be able to manage the site. And this you'll have to spend a little bit more time with than normal, because once again, just refreshing your memory, Wix, combo, SquareSpace, personal. Shopify, it kind of depends because it's all product driven. So you're just going to have to look through here and figure out, how many products are we talking? Are you talking 0 to 5? You're obviously going to get away with the basic. If it's something that's a little bit more complex, You're going to want to probably go with, the more of the heavier one. Now, you'll notice it says unlimited products, but where things get a little bit sticky is you'll notice where stuff, stops to be included. So gift cards is not included in the first one. Is that something you're going to want to do? I'm not sure. You got to think about it. Shipping rates, things of that nature, all that stuff. If it's a tangible product, then you're going to probably want to look into that. So this is definitely, you're not like most cost effective because it's a little pricey, but it supplies a lot of the functionality that the e-commerce building from scratch in a open source platform is costly. So that sometimes negates that cost. If you don't have the resources or the upfront cost to pay a developer, or you don't know if this is going to stick this time next year, this is a great opportunity to looking into for Shopify, just for e-commerce. Now, and I'll close on this regarding Shopify. I have a person come to me the other day, and I felt horrible for her. She had come to me, she's using Shopify, and she doesn't even have a product. And it like ripped my guts out, because I'm like, wait a minute, why do you want a Shopify if you don't have an e-commerce? But that's why I'm doing this video. More and more people are just, they see an advertisement, or a friend or a family tells them, oh, use Shopify, or really hope it's not happening as much as I may think it is. But if people come to you as a web dude, or they're selling web services, and they're just preaching one particular platform and not educating you across the board what you have to your disposal, that's probably a red flag right off the bat, because most of the time that developer or agency's only versed in that platform. They have some kind of affiliate reseller account, so that's why they want you to take it, or they just that's their that's it. That's what they want, and they're cookie cutter. I don't do that. You're always going to hear me preach WordPress because it's open source, yours, in your hosting account. You never have to worry about starting from scratch ever again, no matter what your angle is. But once again, that's a little bit, it's time consuming, and it can be costly. But make sure before you start with anything or anyone, you're being educated with what is out there and what are you trying to accomplish, versus just this is your option. So long story short, I ended up helping that lady. She did not need a Shopify. She had no product. She just needed a business brand and a face online. So let's finish on this. I can't end this video without talking about WordPress. So you guys can already start to guesstimate what your costs are going to be for each particular portal, what we've talked about. You're 11 a month here, 12 a month here. Shopify is obviously a little more expensive. So you can guesstimate what all those are. Well, here's WordPress. If you can absorb the cost and or have a developer like me, most of the time with my clients anyways, whatever the principal dollar amount is for a WordPress, I spread it across X amount of months, even though services are rendered within 7 to 14 days for the site, because I know it's costly, and I know that it's actually sometimes hard to digest that when you're a small business and or even a large corporation, and you're like, we just don't see they don't still understand the value in it, but they get it when they see like, oh, wait a minute. So now you're telling me that my hosting on average, for instance, this is the most useful one that I use. It's a WordPress dedicated environment. It is from GoDaddy. I'm a huge fan of them. I don't do a reseller account from them. It's just you make your account, and or I do it for you. It's in your name, it's in your control. And that's another thing, by the way. If someone's ever creating a website for you, or you're doing it and a friend or a family's helping you and they like set it up in their name or their account, absolutely not. Stop right there, pump the brakes, get it in your name, start again, make sure it's in your name, make sure you have the username and password, it's your credit card. Bada bing, bada boom. You don't have to deal with it, because this time next year, Homeboy and or the company that you worked with is no longer in existence. You don't have access to that account. You're cooked, and you can go to war and try calling them, explaining to them it's mine. I do this, I that. Last 4 digits of the credit card. We need some kind of password. We need the 4-digit PIN. If you don't have any of that, these people can't help you, even though it's your site. Don't care. So make sure your URL's in your name and your hosting account is in your name all the time. And I've been doing that now for almost 2 decades. I'm one of the rare dudes in this industry that actually do it that way, because most people have some type of incentive and or business model where they resell the hosting, and then it's always kind of tied into their name. So when and if the time comes, you try to, let's just say, divorce them, you can't. I don't do that. So this is the account that I use. Ultimate is legit. You get 2 website spaces. Most of the time, you're only going to even utilize one, but the reason why I like it is I've kind of crunched these numbers across the board. You get everything else included, where the other ones that you would need don't have them, and by the time you add them to the cart, it actually, the cost gets more than the ultimate. So check this out. SSLs are a huge thing today in this day and age. Most of you developers and web people know that. Any site with an SSL is going to have higher validity on the search engines, and also hold your consumers and your visitors a little bit more at peace, knowing that, hey, the site's secure. And not to mention, if you ever want to go to a e-commerce merchant activity, you have what you're going to need with that SSL. I'm a huge fan of this malware scan and repair. It happens a lot, sometimes with WordPresses. If people are not updating their plugins and you're not in an ongoing relationship with a web dude like me who's taking care of it for you, this tool will actually identify, catch, eliminate any kind of spam issues. Really neat. I don't really care about the staging site, but what is awesome too, and I don't really care about this, it's more of the SSL and the malware scan. And also with this platform being that it's a dedicated WordPress environment, you get a daily backup system for the database and the actual files. So that means that if this time tomorrow your site's live and something happens and there's this thing in WordPress called the white screen of death, once again, because no one's maintaining it or growing it with you, those are some of the growing pains with the WordPress. It's not a set it, forget it. It does have to grow with you. Have to keep your plugins up to date, very much like apps on a phone. You wake up one day and you got that white screen of death. You don't have to freak out. You can go to back it up, start to where one of the last times it was, and this is daily. So even if yesterday's was messed up, you can go a day before, get it backed up, and then send a dude in like me, or even call GoDaddy because they have a resource for that, and say, look, my site went down. There may be a plugin, something's causing that. We can find it, take it down, and then substitute it with another plugin that's supplying the same service. But anyways, this thing comes out to show you, it should be about $287 if I did my homework right. Yeah, so $287 for 36 months, 3 years. That's your tax tag and title for your hosting, excluding the development cost and or having someone that's going to invest the time for you. WordPress is your best thing at all times because it's scalable. You can do whatever you want. And I'm doing more and more of these. People are coming to me and they're saying, look, I'm on Wix, or I'm on a SquareSpace, or I'm on this, and I think the time has come. I want to pursue better rankings. I want to actually make the site better. I want an e-commerce. Well, this is a no-brainer now. You got to get this. It's $287, give or take, for the 3 years, everything you're going to need. And now, once again, excluding the development costs, that's it. And now everything that you put forth towards this web is going to be a return on investment. Your marketing, anything above that $287 should be a return. Now, excluding your URLs, which are a very nominal cost. You should not be, and I had a guy yesterday telling me he's got like 15, 20 URLs for one business. And it's just a simple business. It's not, it's not like a conglomerate. And I'm thinking, I used to do that, 20 years ago. You buy all these URLs because you think everyone's going to try to buy them. With the way the domains have turned into, with all the .lives and .studios, .everything, it doesn't really, just buy one domain. It may be two, depending on what you're working on. But those costs should be very easily to be absorbed because they should be $5 to $10. Either way, I packed a tremendous amount of information in this video. A lot of this is just my opinion. Some of it is fact, but ultimately I open it all to conversation, and any kind of disagreements, holler at me. I really don't care. It's just my polite, no cost opinion and resources where I've found success. And if you do need help, holler. Like, I don't mind still pointing you in the right direction if you're on a platform. And by the way, too, I'll close on this. It's not just WordPress too. I mean, Joomla, Drupal, all those platforms that, once again, are open source, that are built and then put on your hosting account, are all great. And I just happen to be the guy who likes WordPress personally because that's my go-to and I'm well versed in it. Drupal's legit, Joomla's legit. They're just not my go-tos. I didn't grow up with that being my what I worked in, but they're still great. So nothing against those platforms. If someone comes to you and they're servicing you in that nature, they're fine. They're great. There's absolutely great opportunities for both. Some of them are even better depending on if they're database driven or huge e-commerces. There's pros and cons to each one. So either way, once again, these are the platforms that I would use depending on each situation, and I hope it was helpful. All right, guys.